Most people think persuasion is about better words, more confidence, and better arguments, but it's really not. Real persuasion happens the moment before someone decides if they want to say yes. When the way they're seeing the situation collapses, and it reorganizes without them even noticing. By the way, I'm Evan. I've spent over 1,000 hours studying how top performers use systems to get what they want. But more importantly, I've been persuading people in situations where it actually matters. After doing this hundreds of times, I noticed when persuasion worked, it wasn't because I was more charismatic. It's because I was changing the way people interpreted the situations we were in. So today I'm sharing with you the only 5 lines you'll ever need to persuade anyone. Not just to sell something, but to get them to trust you, to buy in, and to follow you. Let's get into it now. Line number 1, the frame collapse. The way this usually gets discussed is backwards. This is the line that decides whether people lean in or tune you out. I've had meetings where I was by far the youngest person in there. In leadership meetings, in presentations when I had the least authority. Now, the reason that line works is because it doesn't attack anyone. It just changes what story we're currently focused on. Here's what happens in real time. Someone's about to dismiss the idea you brought up, then you say this line, and instead of focusing on you, their attention switches to assuming that they missed something. So let's say you're in a meeting and everyone's discussing on how to make a certain process move faster. You say, the way we usually discuss this is actually backwards. Instead of focusing on the speed of the project, we should focus on who's controlling what. Suddenly, the entire conversation is going to shift. You're no longer debating, you're reshifting the frame of the problem. And that's what frame control, and specifically this line, is all about. The moment you can collapse and change their perspective, they're no longer evaluating you. Instead, their attention's on the situation. Okay, line number 2 is the protection reveal. This only works if you understand what people are actually protecting. Here's what separates amateurs from people who actually persuade hundreds. People don't reject ideas. They reject threats. This could be a threat to their status, their ambition, or their goals. Whenever I have led any team I've been a part of, I noticed a few things. People were never scared about an idea failing, but they did have a fear of losing control, looking incompetent, or being blamed later. Here's exactly how I use it. Your boss might push back on what you're suggesting. Instead of arguing harder, you just say this: I get it. No one wants to take on the downside of if this proposal fails. So here's exactly how we're going to de-risk it. Now, in this situation, you just acknowledge the problem that everyone's kind of silently avoiding. By clearly stating it, you're showing emotional intelligence of understanding the lying cause. It tells people, I see the signal you're not saying, and that's going to earn their trust, especially in a team, instantly. Okay, line number 3 is the trade-off reveal. But before I dive into that, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps the channel out and it helps other people find content that helps them. Okay, line number 3 is you can have X, but you have to give up Y, and most people don't see that. This is where actual persuasion happens. This is by far one of the most powerful lines I'm going to teach you in this whole video. Because humans don't always make decisions based on what's right or what's wrong. They make them based on the cost they're willing to pay. I use this anytime I come across someone who's stuck in black and white thinking. So, for example, let's say your team wants to have the most polished project in the world before they ship it out, but they also care about speed. You just simply say you can have speed, but it's going to come at the cost of polish. Or you can be overly polished and it'll come at the cost of speed. Then you can get more specific by giving the amount of months it's going to cost to perfect the project. Whenever a team is weighing out 2 options and you want your opinion to be bought into, you need to show the silent cost that either option is going to incur. Suddenly, the emotions are completely stripped from the decision. Everything can be quantified. This line reveals clarity without pressure. You're not pushing people towards your agenda. You're simply showing them the trade-off. Okay, let's jump into line number 4, the time horizon shift. Short term, that makes sense, but long term, it breaks. This is how you win arguments without arguing. So you can use this whenever you're encountering someone who is really pushing back hard. You validate the present and then dominate the future. Here's exactly how that's going to work. People know they overweight the short term, so you're not calling them wrong, you're just giving them the full picture. So let's say someone gives a quick fix to a recurring problem that your team's running into. Instead of saying that won't work, you focus on the short term versus the long term. So you tell them short term that might lead to a quick fix, but long term this is going to be prevalent to break again. Now you're not the person that's shooting down your team's ideas. Instead, you're reframing issues to focus on the long-term impacts. In leaderships, in meetings, in trust, this simple line reframes you from someone who tears others down to someone who has a strategic vision. And that's exactly how you're going to get recognized and advance. Line number 5 is the identity lock-in. The people who do well in this specific job, title, career, whatever, tend to think differently about this. This is the most powerful one of all of the lines I'm sharing with you, because it makes your persuasion stick permanently. You're not asking people to act, you're asking them to change who they are. Humans will fight against actions all day, but they will die to protect their identity. So instead of saying you should try this approach, instead look at it like this. People at this company tend to advance fastest when they think about blank this way. They focus less on perfecting their craft and more about progressing. You just let them persuade themselves. And once they do, they follow through, because now you're not forcing them. It's literally tied to their new identity. This line works in interviews, meetings, mentorships, literally anything where you need someone to change their long-term behavior. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Persuasion comes from changing what people are deciding about. Once you understand that, influence stops feeling like effort. These 5 lines are the only ones I've ever needed, and they'll quietly change how everyone responds to you. You'll have more status, more respect, and you'll notice people trusting you more. Now, if you want to learn how to actually apply everything I've taught you and amplify it with AI, check out the video I'm going to put on one of these sides of the screen. It's one of my best tactical breakdowns of using AI to build a better future for yourself. But for now, internalize the 5 lines I share with you and make sure you start practicing them. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.